Hello, everybody. It's me, Paracanthus, and I am back for a very, very special video. Today, I am joined by two special friends. Would you guys like to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, sure.
Shadows, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm Shadows. I create all kinds of dinosaur content, Camp Cretaceous content. Yeah, and I'm glad to be here. Thanks, guys.
Alright, cool.
Alright everyone, I'm ProC. I love dinosaur content, as you know, just like the rest of these guys, and I'm here to have a fun discussion. So let's get right into it.
Let's just get right into the discussion. So, Jurassic World Dominion has not very recently, Jurassic World Dominion has released last month, the month of June, and it was a pretty big release, and I'm sure that we all have our own thoughts on it. So that's what I wanted to talk about first. So what aspect of Jurassic World Dominion was the most interesting to you guys?
Roxy, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I would say possibly the biosim part, where we get to see all the feathered dinosaurs and stuff, you know, just all that new gen. No, it's a bit of a leap, but it wasn't as much of a leap as the Camp Cretaceous stuff, so it felt more natural to the plot, not just kind of forced in and all weird.
Yeah,
I agree.
And before that, I do have to say, there will be spoilers for Dominion, Camp Cretaceous, and possibly some other Jurassic stuff. So if you haven't seen that, go watch those first and then watch this video later. Anyways, back to the discussion.
No, but I agree with Proxy. I think what I most enjoyed about Dominion is, they tried to include, the feathered, the more paleo-accurate versions of dinosaurs as best as they could to the franchise. So I really enjoyed that, and I really enjoyed some of the models they used. I thought they were fantastic.
Yeah, I agree. And personally, I don't think feathers on dinosaurs are necessarily tied to accuracy. I think that they can just make for pretty cool designs on their own, and the Paracanthus especially showed that. But personally, I have my own take on the franchise's dinosaurs. I don't think that the franchise's dinosaurs, like their quote unquote accurate versions, are accurate to our reality. Personally, I think that their prehistoric interpretations are far different from ours, and I think the prologue really showed that their universe's Cretaceous era was very different to our universes.
Yeah, 100%.
Giga is definitely a good example of that, with just it. I think a lot of people were caught off guard when they first saw a prologue, and they're like, "Is that Giga? That's like a mutated Allosaurus."
Yeah.
There are many other things, like the fact that both the Giga and the T-Rex were separated completely and continentally, and both lived in different time periods. But despite the prologue's premise, I don't actually think that's what the prologue was about, like pushing scientific accuracy, because if you think about it, the only dinosaur that was changed in the prologue was the Tyrannosaurus Rex, and all they did was just add some peach fuzz to it.
Yeah, that's right. It's interesting though, because Colin Trevorrow was saying this is going to be 100% paleo accurate.
Well,
to their universe, maybe. Not
yeah,
to,
yeah. He should have put a little question mark or disclaimer on that.
Call him that.
Exactly. If you're talking about our universe, that's complete BS. Like, the Giganotosaurus is not accurate to our universe, but it's very. And I think what Ramsey said in the movie about their dinosaurs being 100% genetically pure, it really helps to affirm that, because they the makers of Jurassic World, even if they made bad movies, are very clearly not idiots, and they know what they're talking about when it comes to dinosaurs. They knew that these dinosaurs weren't accurate to our universe, so clearly they were, in their universe, there was a different interpretation.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, the feathers looked, and about the feathers, the CGI in this movie was just beautiful, honestly. It was, really, really well done. And I think the animatronics were great too. There are some moments where they look a little too robotic, and their movements are a little unnatural, but for the most part they were great. And I feel like the fact that there were more of them really helped the actors settle into dinosaurs, help them act with them instead of just, with with complete CGI.
Yeah, and it was definitely a homage to the first Jurassic Park where they just used animatronics, and that's what the fans wanted. It was just fan service, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think the CGI was on point. I seen a lot of people saying, "Oh, it weren't that good," and I was thinking, "You're watching the same movie. The CGI is fantastic."
Like,
And some of the models they used were great, like Paracanthus said, but there was some shaky scenes, such as like sometimes I was thinking when I was watching some of the Dilophosaurus scenes, I was thinking these do look too robotic. Like the way they were moving in some scenes just didn't look quite right, and it was just like I don't know, didn't sit right.
yeah, I mean, personally, I think the most egregious example, and it's not, I use egregious as hyperbole. It's not that bad, but I think when you watch the clip of Charlotte Lockwood in the Sorna lab with the Microceratus and her petting it, that's when it looked pretty robotic to me. Like it looked
Yeah.
like it was an animatronic, but at the same time, it wasn't that bad. Like it was passable. You could look past it, kind of. Though I agree that Dilophosaurus were little weird. Um,
Yeah.
But before that, I also wanted to let this disclaimer out that personally, I really want to respect other people's opinions, and if they love Dominion and if they hate Dominion, that's perfectly fine, and we should respect what other people think, whether they agree with us or not, because the human race will not evolve if we don't listen to each other's opinions. So I just wanted to get
Totally.
that out of the way.
Yeah, I totally agree.
All right, so one
Mhm.
of the bigger aspects that I wanted to talk about when it comes to the movie is the movie's theme and how it gets it across, and what Colin Trevorrow was really trying to do here.
Mhm.
So, personally, the theme obviously has to do a lot with the locusts. And I know a lot of people said, like, oh, if you remove the dinosaurs, nothing would change. The movie's all about the locusts. And, like, oh, it's the worst subplot ever. But really, I don't think so. Because here's the thing, you remove the dinosaurs, there is no genetic power. No genetic power, Biosyn could never make the locusts and take control of the, how do I say this? Food supply, the food chain in the world. And so I do think that the dinosaurs were very necessary because they clearly explain in the movie, because of the dinosaurs getting out, genetic power got out. So that's the first thing that I wanted to say.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think like the way he tried to take the last movie, so Dominion, I think he obviously tried to keep that Crichton feel where it's always about the genetic power and the genetic engineering, and obviously he brings the locusts into it that way. And it felt very much true to the source material and what Crichton was trying to do. I totally agree. Like the original book, for example, is more about the technology they're using and how they're going to use that for, in quotes, bad work. But yeah, I think he delivered in that. Sometimes the movie did go off a little pace sometimes, and I felt like I was watching a Taken film sometimes where they were trying to rescue someone. Like it felt like I was watching Taken in some parts, but it did, for the majority of the film, feel like I was watching something which devised from Crichton's original source material.
Yeah,
You know what I like about that Taken kind of plot though? If you look
Yeah.
at the Jurassic Park movies, you see like Jurassic Park kind of resembles Jurassic World, the parks basically. Then the Lost World, Fallen Kingdom, you move on into the city. Then Jurassic Park 3 and Jurassic World Dominion, they're both about saving children, right? Like Eric Kirby, they're going off to save him. Then Maisie Lockwood and Beta, they're going off.
Yeah, do you know what? I didn't even think of that until you literally just said it. That's really good.
yeah.
Also,
I actually didn't realize that until now. Um, but to talk about the movie's theme itself, to me, the theme was pretty obvious. Humanity has to evolve. We have to be proactive. We can't put our faith in one company. And ultimately, we need to adapt if we are to survive, or else we'll face our extinction.
Mm, yeah.
And
mm,
I've seen a lot of videos online. Oh, Jurassic World is secretly genius. It has this, um, you know, mega mind kind of plot, mastermind kind of theme to it, you could say. And Personally, I can see that. I can see what theme is there, but I think the main thing is that that theme is so poorly shown in that movie that it might as well not be there. And personally, Dominion doesn't suffer the same problem. And I think sometimes it's definitely too on the nose with its theme, but it certainly gets its theme across to the audience very well and very clearly, and it's certainly stuck with the audience, and that's what really matters to me.
Yeah, I think it's a tough one. It's like when I watched it, it's like I enjoyed it, so I'm no way ever gonna completely bash it, but I am gonna critique it, and I'm gonna drop Clayton, because Clayton is a massive fan. You guys obviously know him yourselves, and he did his review of it, and yeah, I feel it was a good movie, but for everything they were trying to do, I think the execution in some parts was just lackluster. It was lacking in some places. I think we could have had so much more with what we could have used. I think, like you said, Paracanthus, I think the theme is there, but it could have been executed better in some parts of the film and some scenes, because we were constantly jumping around, being pulled pillar to post, and sometimes it was, in some scenes, difficult to follow exactly what's going on, and there was some points where I was left scratching my head thinking, well, what's going on here?
Yeah. That's very true. I'm actually one of three people in the world who didn't really think this movie had pacing issues, but in saying that, I've only seen the movie once and I haven't gotten the chance to see it again. And I'm absolutely gonna go or pre-order the extended edition on DVD. I need to get that. Everybody needs to get that.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah. 14 extra minutes of footage. Like, you gotta get your hands on that.
Oh yeah, 6 of it is the prologue.
I mean, okay, that
So
still
least
leaves
8.
7 minutes of extra footage.
Yeah.
Don't expect the footage to fix the movie, but it'll still do a good job of helping people enjoy themselves.
Yeah, definitely. And here's the thing with the extended cut. Unlike some other extended cuts, like let's say the Snyder cut, it's not going to be like 4 hours long. It's just going to be an extra
that's
15
right.
or so minutes.
Yeah, that's right. I'd be happy, right? I don't want, because obviously 14 extra minutes, 6 minutes of the prologue, that leaves us 8 minutes. I don't want to see 8 minutes of extra dialogue between Maisie and Owen in the cottage. I don't want to see that. I want to see extra 8 minutes of proper good stuff. I want to see more Pyroraptor. More Pyroraptor scenes. I want to maybe some more parts which fit into the development of the story, so it doesn't feel as fast paced maybe in some areas. And I definitely want to see worthwhile footage. I don't want to see them sitting around a campfire singing Kumbaya. Don't want that.
Yeah, and did you know Pyroraptor was actually meant to replace Therizinosaurus? I'm not sure how old this is, but it was meant to verse Giganotosaurus along with T-Rex, and that would be the final. I think this is. It's not entirely confirmed. I don't know how old this is, but on the toy thing, did you see the 3-pack that Jurassic Outpost reviewed on the Jurassic World channel?
And I seen. Yeah. Was it you shared the concept art of it? Was it something like that? You shared?
It had a Pyroraptor going up against a T-Rex and Giganotosaurus, and I was like, whoa, that's where does that fit into the story?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It is kind of cool, but at the same time, it's kind of stupid. It's like one Pyroraptor. Come on, they're gonna destroy it.
But then again, look at Blue, an Endoraptor.
Yes. Yeah.
Never. Oh, didn't really like that one either. Oof.
I think they kind of scrapped it because it was similar to T-Rex and Blue versus the Indominus Rex.
I mean, I didn't love the Therizinosaurus' part in the final battle either. I think it could have been handled a little better because it was just kind of like a random team up. But I don't think it was as bad as Blue randomly showing up to help the T-Rex.
Yeah. Oh, that was a brilliant scene. Oh, it was class.
It's I'm not dead.
Yeah,
I'm alive, and I'm gonna come and help you, my best friend, ally.
Yeah. Yeah. So we kind of went on a tangent there. I wanted, before we get back to the movie scene, I wanted to talk about the final scene because I think it's obvious to most people that that's an incredibly important, if not the most important scene in the movie. And
Mm.
So personally, I know a lot of critics don't do this, and I'm not saying they shouldn't, but I don't criticize movies on logistics errors, um, relatively big or small. I criticize them based on writing. So logically, the final scene, no, doesn't make much sense. It really doesn't. But I think that's not the point. The point is it got across the theme that we have to adapt, we have to change, we have to be proactive, just like how the dinosaurs can do that on their own naturally. And I think the fact that it got across the theme so well and ultimately just looked really good, I think made it a really powerful ending scene.
Yeah, are we talking about the part where he goes into like Congress, is it? Or are you talking about the Therizinosaurus parts?
No, I'm talking
Like
about the like final scene where you see a compilation of
sunset.
dinosaurs and like modern day animals like mammals and things like that
Oh,
mixing
right.
together.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. I thought that there was nothing wrong with that scene at all. I think you're absolutely right. I think it sets up to showcase that we are living alongside these animals now. We're adapting, and like you said, we're evolving to be with these animals, and these animals with us, and they're now amalgamated into the ecosystem, and the ecosystem will evolve. And I think it definitely showcased that. And I didn't once think, oh, that doesn't look right, or that they're in Africa. They shouldn't be in Africa. There with a white zebra or whatever it is. I didn't think that at all. I just thought it showcased exactly where the movie was going and where we were heading as a human race in that universe.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think they also mentioned somewhere in the movie they were shipping dinosaurs to Africa, so it kind of made sense that at the end that was like the final scene. It was like, oh, they're all around the world at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, look, logically, no, it doesn't make much sense for dinosaurs to be all around the world. They got out in one location, and if this were the real world, they would be tracked down and tranquilized, or maybe even the predators killed.
Oh yeah,
Um,
one
yeah.
hundred percent. I agree. You're not going to leave like 5, 6 raptors, which are killing machines, in out in the forest. Even if it is remote, it's not going to happen. Imagine a tiger got out of the zoo. They are not going to go. Ah, don't worry, it's up in the Rocky Mountains. Just leave it there. They're not.
Yeah,
It's not
exactly.
going to happen, is it?
Yeah, like okay, the most that would happen is they would spread to a few neighboring states at most. They would not get across the world, and they would not spread to be essentially another equivalent to our modern ecosystems. That's not what happens. But the point is that this is kind of just a movie. It's just a movie. You know, you need to let
That's
it
it.
off on
Yeah.
some logical things, and they clearly it was clearly an interesting plot development to explore, and there's no real way that you can do that realistically without pulling some actual like extra sci-fi stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So it works. I don't really care about that much. Like they try to give an explanation, and I guess it works to an extent, but not really that much. But I don't think anyone really cared about that too much.
Nah, I don't think they did. To be fair.
Yeah, definitely. About the theme in the movie itself. Personally, I feel like this is where the legacy characters actually came in to help the theme because the legacy characters and their actions in the movie showed that you know we shouldn't just be putting pressure on the basically our generation, to fix what our parents before us left. We shouldn't be left to clean up their mess. They should be helping us right alongside us.
I was I didn't catch that theme in the movie.
I mean, yeah, okay, it's not very obvious. Yeah, it's not very obvious.
There he goes. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, okay. That theme
I'm
was,
just catching it now.
yeah, no. I don't think the theme was very obvious, but I can see that it's there. So I don't give the movie props for that in particular, because it wasn't portrayed very well. But at the very least, they do help to show how we should be evolving. And the audience got that across from them pretty well. Now, as
Think
I
it
said,
definitely does at the end. I think like where it shows that final scene, I think it kind of shows that where they're going into Congress and whatever, trying to change laws or whatever they're trying to do for these animals. I think it did then. But up until that point, it was like there was so many mixed subplots and everything going on. It was like it was definitely there as an overarching theme, but I don't think it was super apparent to a general audience member. They're just probably looking to watch the film, have a good time, watch some dinosaurs fight, and that's probably about it.
yeah, which is what like they could have been more subtle about it, and I feel like they could have sprinkled it into the movie a lot more. But in the end, it got across its theme pretty well to the audience, so I give it props for that.
At the end, yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
And um, personally, I actually thought that this movie had a decent emotional center to it, which is probably a little bit of an exaggeration. But what I mean is that it had character. No, what I mean is that it had decently written characters to it. Um, it wasn't just like a bunch of dinosaur action thrown together. You could tell that the characters had emotions. They had a stake in the story. Um, and honestly, Claire and Owen and Maisie were all at their best in this movie. They were pretty good in this movie, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I think all the cast did a great job. You know, I would have liked to seen a little bit more. It's hard because it's like you've got a 2 hour odd movie with like 6 main characters and what 4 or 5 sub characters, and it's really difficult then to give them all their own distinguishable parts and try not to step on other characters' toes and what have you. But I think they did a good job with the original cast and the new cast in shading the screen time out, etc. So I think they did well there.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think
The connection coming into it worked well.
yeah, you could tell like there was a lot of subplots, but they all linked up together to converge into one by the end. They didn't just happen for the sake of happening. Even though it was a little messy, they did snake up into one path eventually. And so I think here especially, Claire and Owen weren't bland caricatures anymore. Like they were a little bland. They could have had more character scenes. They probably should have had more character scenes to them. Not necessarily in the cabin, but just exploring who they are at this point. But still, I will say that they are written well. They're given like realistic motivations, and they're given chances to show a lot of emotion. And it's very clear, that even though Chris Pratt does his typical action hero kind of stuff, he doesn't want to do that kind of action hero stuff anymore. He and Claire clearly both just want Maisie back, and honestly, it's not even clear whether they want to save the world. Even though they do it inadvertently, they still just want Maisie back, and I really like that.
Yeah, I think they very much moved on and they just want to settle down. They want to be that little family unit, don't they?
Yeah, yeah. And now, personally, I understand why we had to see Charlotte Lockwood's backstory, but I feel like we didn't need to see as much of it. They could have cut that kind of stuff out, explained what we needed to see, um, instead of like showing a lot of it. Because honestly, they could have kept it like, okay, Lockwood cloned his daughter again. They didn't need to include the whole thing about Charlotte cloning herself.
Yeah, I totally agree. I felt it was unnecessary to even add to the story. It made little difference to the story at all. You should have just kept it what it was in Fallen Kingdom. There was no need to go on along and totally wipe out Fallen Kingdom's storyline and then put a new one in. It's like, you don't need to do that. That extra 30 minutes you could have focused on other parts of the film.
Yeah, like the most important part was that Charlotte cured a disease that her daughter would have had, which I get you need to say that, but just say like just have Wu explain, okay, your grandpa Lockwood, he essentially cured you of a disease, and that's why we need to get to you. They could have just had Wu say that. They didn't need to have the whole. In saying that, I think they do use it to have a little bonding moment between Ellie and Maisie when like they're on the hyperloop and Ellie's like, "Hey, I knew your mom." And Maisie's like, "Oh, you did. That was a nice bonding moment."
Yeah.
But they could have had that without explaining the whole plot about Charlotte cloning herself. She could have just known Charlotte by chance.
She could have. There was no need
like-
for anything else. Sorry, Proxy.
That's alright. I feel like just to defend that plot a little bit, like we did see Maisie at the start. She was a bit upset. She's like, "Oh, I'm a clone. I'm not special." But then like we kind of learned she's a clone, but from an actual person. She wasn't created in a lab necessarily.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
agree.
Though I'm not gonna lie, it would have been kind of weird if Charlotte actually like got to grow up with her daughter. It would have been really weird at dinner tables. Okay,
Yeah,
like
it would, two basic twins, and they'd be like, "What's going on here?" It'd be very strange.
exactly. Like they invite friends over and they're just like, okay, well, hold on, what's going on here? Why are there two of you?
Yeah, you twins,
The
or
daughter's the
no,
spitting
that's my mother.
image.
Yeah.
We not only lack dominion over nature, we're subordinate to it.